Hey, it's Shannon Long, and today I'm in Bridgman, Michigan, hanging out with the fine folks at Transient Artisan Ales.
I thoroughly enjoy Transient. It's a great spot.
I love Transient. They're probably one of the best breweries in Michigan, in my opinion.
I think this place has really brought out the more serious, I don't want to say aficionados, but you know, the people that really take beer more seriously than just as simple as like, oh, I like an IPA or something, you know. It's like there's a lot more nuance that happens here, and I think a lot of the people that are a little bit more in tune to that appreciate it.
It really, you know, you got to take a step back and be like, damn, this is some good beer.
The people who actually make everything here are always right up front, and it's just way more personal.
They have different beers than a lot of the other breweries around here. They're kind of like a Belgian-focused brewery, and so they have a lot of sours and a lot of saisons and different beers that you don't get at, you know, maybe the other places close by.
I am a very big fan of sour beers and Brett beers in general, so when I heard that there was a brewery opening up in this area, and since I live in Bridgman, it was pretty exciting to hear that they were doing that kind of style.
What he does is kind of cutting edge in the beer scene, which wasn't really present in this area. I mean, you go to Chicago and they're on the cutting edge of beer, out to the West Coast and the East Coast, you know, doing the New England style stuff. And he brought that back to the Midwest, which is ahead of kind of everybody in Michigan.
It's real laid back, it's not snobby, it's just a lot of people that really appreciate what's happening here, and they're glad that it's in a relatively small town, because you don't usually see things of this caliber in areas like this. It's usually in bigger cities, so we're very happy to have that here.
The mild-mannered genius behind Transient's incredible creations is Chris Betts.
I went to school, got my degree in marketing and management. Always with the intention that I wanted to open a brewery someday. I was home brewing in college. Finally got my first job at Witch's Hat Brewing. Kind of learned from them. I was able to kind of pick up how to brew on a commercial system. So I started Transient as a contract gypsy brewer. So we'd rent space in another brewery. I had my own fermenters, my own barrels, and I would just use their brew house one day a week, make a beer for myself, and then sell it, package it, everything kind of on the side.
And when it came time for Chris to open his own brewery, he picked Bridgman in Southwest Michigan, which is experiencing a booming craft beer scene, making it home to over a dozen breweries.
We kind of scrapped this all together ourselves. We didn't have any investors, and I really didn't have any money, so we kind of just made it work with what we could find. We went up to kind of a dairy graveyard in Wisconsin that has just stainless for miles, and picked out what became our mash tun. For our boil kettle, we bought a wine tank and kind of retrofitted it with heating elements to kind of boil our beer, and they both work very well, even though that's not their intended purpose.
All right, Rachel, Chris, let's drink some of your Transient beer.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, so this is one of our recent releases, Cromulent. It's an American pale ale that we make with Mosaic and Simcoe hops.
I don't like to pick favorites because I feel like that I'm cheating on the other beers that I don't drink as much, you know, but I really like Cromulent. I'm actually really glad it's on tap right now.
This is one of those hazy-ish East Coast style beers.
Yes, it is. I cannot see through it at all.
I think this one's
just the way we like it.
Crowd pleaser when people come in and want something light and crisp.
All right, I'm pretty excited right now. The juice is loose. This is the beer. This is the beer that people go crazy for. Never had it. I'm excited.
I mean, the Juice is Loose was one of the first beers I bought a growler of when it was like a 10-gallon batch. And so since then, it's been this like explosion of fandom. You know, there's been lines out the door, you know, it's gotten crazy.
It was our first double IPA. An incredible amount of hops, about 5.5 to 6 pounds per barrel.
Super juicy. That's why it's in the name.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, it's pretty tasty.
This is so good. Those may have been good, but I really came to Transient to sample some of their signature sour beer.
Yeah, so this is another one of the fruited versions of the FOEDER 2.
So this is what apricot does to a beer, and this is what grapes does to a beer. This is so wonderful. Like, this beer is making me so, it's got all the tartness of the sour, but just a little bit of that dryness from the grapes.
Yes.
I love this
come in
beer.
and they're hesitant about beer, but they like wine. I usually lead them to this first because it has like the wine profile, but
this is a good gateway beer into Transient.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for letting me drink all your beers.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, so you have something special here at Transient that we have never shot on the history of Pure Brews America, and that is a cool ship.
We will take the wort without chilling it. We'll pump it into a large, square, rectangular-ish open tank, usually outside, usually when it's cold. It has to be right around freezing. And over the course of the night, it'll chill. Bacteria, yeast will fall, start living in the beer. So the product in the end is just completely whatever happens that night, that day, that location, completely unique. The Belgians still do this today, and a couple American brewers, including us at Transient.
That's incredible. So this is Bridgman Transient only.
Yep.
You cannot make this beer anywhere else on the planet except here because it's coming from the air.
Yeah, and
Incredible.
And even day to day, they'll be just completely different as well.
That's awesome. So we're going to be pumping from the kettle here.
Yep.
Outside the cool ship.
Yep.
We got beer. Woo!
And you just hang that in there. Try to grab as much in the parts that aren't going to have hot liquid coming through them.
Oh, don't want to burn myself.
Good to go.
Send it on over, Brandon. Brendan?
Brendan.
Brendan. All right. Beers are flowing. Woo!
Yeah, there are going to be some sounds.
We're going to fill this all up. Well, I'll tell you what, it smells delicious. So what made you want to use a cool ship? Not a lot of people are really using them. You just want to be cool, right?
I want to be real cool. No, we wanted to kind of delve into something that nobody else was really doing. It's the kind of beer I really like drinking.
Oh, I'm with you.
As a brewer, not knowing what's going to come out of it is really interesting.
For some brewers, that's terrifying.
No, yeah, that too.
For you, I'm with you. I mean, sour beers, they're my favorite beer in the world, and you're doing them a little bit different over here, and
yeah,
I love it.
That's what makes it fun. If I was just brewing the same beer every day, I don't think I'd enjoy it as much.
Right now, we've got a lambic going into the cool ship. It's going to collect the yeast from your brewery, the air around your brewery. Do you plant, and then you're going to move it into a barrel?
Yep.
Are you going to be adding any fruit to it, or just as
That's something that we see after it ferments out. We'll kind of see what path it's on, what it might need, if we want to blend it between other batches, other barrels, or if we want to add fruit, dry hop it, any other kind of finishing touch we want to put on it.
That's too cool. Just kind of making it up as you go along?
Yep.
Rachel, Chris, thanks so much for having me out to Transient today. Cheers. Cheers.